It is time for game number 1 between Squirtle and MMA. Give a cheer.
And here they are, head to head. Squirtle on the right and MMA on the right, Squirtle on the left, looking left and right.
Yes, and
they are.
Just waiting for things to get started here in the countdown to begin.
Kidding.
There it has.
Neither one of these players look very nervous, I gotta say.
No.
Yeah.
Both these guys have been in high-pressure situations before, usually for different reasons. Squirtle starting to find a little bit of 1v1 success right now, but more than anything else has been a great clutch team league player.
Yep.
And MMA started as that kind of clutch team league player, but of course has the experience on the highest level with the GSL and other tournament wins.
Absolutely. All right, guys, it's time to get going. Here we go. Atlantis Spaceship is the map, and up at the top of it, our yellow Protoss player from the team StarTale, the last Protoss in the tournament. Give it up for StarTale Squirtle. There he is. Took off his coat. He's like a ghost. It's getting too hot. Down at the bottom left part of the map, in the blue, from the team Slayers, recently defeating Stefano to make it this far. It is Slayers MMA.
All right, so time to jump into things now. MMA versus Squirtle Atlantis Spaceship, a very large map to kick things off.
Yeah.
This is a map that we've seen, Squirtle's teammate Parting even go into that Gateway Nexus into 8-gate, very strong early game attack kind of strategy as well.
Yeah, well, StarTale, I mean, they have good Protoss players. They've got Parting, of course, who's known for his PVTs. Very, very good, as we've seen this weekend. And I feel like Squirtle, since Parting has come up, has kind of come up himself a little bit more. He's always been deadly in, like, team league situations in a lot of cases, but in his individual league, he hasn't been quite as successful. MMA, the much, much more successful player in individual leagues. This could be Squirtle's first big win as a StarCraft 2 player.
And to be awesome to see as well, he's been fighting all the way through that open bracket. Then, of course, he and the rest of StarTale had that crushing defeat in the GSTL as well, so he had to rally himself back after that, but he has done that in style. He goes down the Nesty and then takes 2 consecutive sets in the lower bracket.
Yep, and now it looks like MMA is going to go command center first here, playing very economically aggressive. Of course, he's going to need to pull an SCV to defend against the probe that Squirtle's sending down. Probably going to see a little bit of harassment here, but probably when Squirtle sees this, did he see it? He didn't. Okay, he did see it. Okay, he did see it. So we're going to see him throw down his own Nexus as fast as humanly possible, unless he's planning on some sort of crazy one-base play, I've got a feeling.
Yeah, he actually just totally pulled off of gas to begin with, so he's going to put down that Nexus as fast as possible. Yes, the SCV is pulled off the line, and the command center is not going to be hampered that much further, although Squirtle is certainly trying.
You know, pulling your probes off of gas to get that Nexus that much quicker is something that's kind of been a debate among pro Protoss players lately, you know, because it doesn't really get your Nexus out that much quicker, but of course you do lose that gas. So some Protoss players will just leave guys in gas. They'll just delay a little bit on the cybernetics core, but Squirtle just wanting to get that Nexus as fast as possible, down to the millisecond. He wants that out there.
And we see MMA going after 2 barracks right afterwards. No gas quite yet. We'll see when he decides to opt for that momentarily. His opponent, on the other hand, Squirtle, is remining gas once again, starting the cybernetic score. So everything progressing pretty normally.
Uh-oh, that SCV is very low. Oh, is the command center going to complete? Oh, big delay on the command center. And the Zealot is going down there as well. And how is MMA going to respond? He needs some Marines to defend here. He does have 1 Marine out, but that Zealot is going to be a bit of a problem early on.
Yes, it is. Now, the probe is actually very low, and the Zealot going to chase after the Marine for a while, but he's just going to chase back to a couple more reinforcements here in a second.
Run! And the Zealot just being very, very annoying at the expansion. The orbital command is starting now, but Squirtle really making every unit count here in the early game.
And he's really done a nice job of nullifying that earlier command center out of MMA as well. Yes, MMA is going to receive a benefit. It's down much faster than his opponent's expansion, but a lot of that advantage has been mitigated.
And you notice Squirtle, too, is going to be chrono boosting out some Stalkers just so he can put that much more pressure on his opponent. Make sure that MMA has to spend the money on that bunker. He doesn't want to let his opponent get away with anything at all at this point in the game. MMA, though, playing things very smartly, very safely. This SCV, though, unfortunately not going to make it out of this game.
And there, finally, we have a follow from Squirtle. He's building up some resources, decides to go down the additional gateway path, not going to put up his robo next, as we see some players decide to do. So this is actually something pretty much down the lines of what we saw of him against MKP. So we'll see if he opts to go for that robo into just 3 more gateways, make a strong attack. Oh, look at this, though, down at the bottom right-hand corner of the map. we have a hidden expansion, yeah.
Yep, little hidden expansion from Slayers MMA. Very brave and bold move from our Terran player. If that's scouted, that's a lot of resources down the drain, a lot of time lost where those resources could have been spent on other things too. So a gamble being taken by our Terran player at this point. But if Squirtle doesn't keep diligent in his scouting, it could absolutely pay off.
All right, well, we'll see here how aggressively he wants to put on some pressure later on in this match. Third barracks coming up now for MMA, and he is actually mining quite a bit of gas, starting his third geyser over at his natural as well. His opponent, though, that robotics facility, is about halfway done, sitting at the back of the natural. I hate to sound like a broken record, but this is again something he did against MKP, hiding RoboBay tech out of the range of obvious scans or things like that for a good period of time.
It's just a very smart move to do. I mean, if your opponent scans your base, which does happen fairly frequently, then they won't see the Robotech. They'll still be a little bit in the dark, because seeing 3 gateways doesn't really tell you a whole lot as a Terran player early on in this matchup.
And let's see, as that probe is going to put down a RoboBay right away at about the 7-minute, 30-second mark.
So fast Colossus tech potentially. Now, we could see some more gateways and a Warp Prism as well. With Warp Prism speed, it's still a bit rare, but it is a possibility. Colossus would, of course, be the safer option at this point, especially because he knows MMA is just very, very Marine heavy at this point, only now adding on those Marauders. So if he can get some Colossus out before MMA can react with some Vikings, it's going to be a good situation for Squirtle. And the other thing, too, is that it's going to make MMA choose between Medivacs and Vikings, which is going to make his overall composition that much weaker as well.
Very much so. And he is starting that factory, though, so we'll have the option for Starport Tech in just a bit. 3 additional gateways coming down for Squirtle once again, so it looks like he wants to make a strong early game Colossus attack. The first one already being started against MKP. He decided to move out with 2 of those and reinforce with a pylon that is just now being placed at the bottom right-hand corner of the map.
Yep. That's right. So getting that forward pylon down, still has not found the base on the right side quite yet. So MMA is getting away with it. Yeah, and there's a Colossus and Thermal Lance right away. Coming out for Startail Squirtle. He's going to scout this, and I think he's going to feel pretty happy here because the factory for MMA just now finished. So MMA is going to really take a long time before he gets those Medivacs out. This is starting to look pretty good for Squirtle.
All right. Well, hiding that one Colossus once again behind the mineral line, so he keeps it out of the vision of it's just casted drinking crap so many times. Against MMA, 2 bunkers up now for MMA, though, as he does have a pretty, actually able to pick off that observer there. He has a pretty well-rounded force. Looks like Stim, Combat Shields, +1, all about it to hit at the same time, so MMA will have a stout defense.
Yep, MMA will have really good upgrades as well, too. He's got 1-1 on the way. We saw him building his armor. You can see it in the production queue there. So he's going to move into those +2 upgrades very quickly. But this attack from Squirtle might come a little bit too fast for MMA to be prepared for. It's going to require some really, really good micro to survive that. Yeah, MMA has not seen it. Squirtle actually going up to 3 Colossi before making this push, wanting to make sure he really, really catches MMA off guard. Oh man, this game is going to come down probably to just 1 fight. This is not going to be a long game, I think.
All right, well, we'll see if MMA can hold now. That third base is starting to return quite the benefit to him. We'll see if that alone is going to be enough to help his production here in a second. He does have a couple of Medivacs coming out now.
And Squirtle moving out. His third Colossus just now finishing. Thermal Lance finishing too. He is ready to start pushing, and is MMA ready to defend? The pylon does get scouted, but that's okay. I mean, he can still send a probe down. He can still put a few more pylons on the map. He just can't get that kind of surprise warp in from the side that he would have gotten otherwise. So Squirtle's push isn't hurt too much by this. MMA still, as far as we know, has no idea that the Colossus are out on the map right now.
All right, let's take a look at his vision just to be sure. And yes, indeed, no hint of a robotics facility at all. This factory may see the Colossi here in just a second. If not, his army will certainly feel that here
the factory
in a minute.
Sees a Colossus, but is it too late? Here comes the attack from Squirtle. Is MMA prepared? No Vikings. No. Only 1 bunker.
Down. He's already pulling some SCVs off of the line. The first bunker's going to go down right away. Couple of force field trapping some units around the back.
It instantly dies, and Squirtle looking in a great position to win this first game against Slayers MMA. The SCV's coming off the line.
That's never a good idea right now. It looks like the Colossi are starting to rip through those with their AoE. So much damage being done. 30 supply advantage. The orbital command going to fall. Reinforcements going to start cutting off production as well. MMA going down so quickly.
Such a smart build from Squirtle. He did a great job fighting that. He might lose a Colossus in the back. It's like, oh, let me get to the front. Oh, he does lose it, but you know what? He's still got 2 left over. It's not too bad. And MMA does not have a lot to fight this. He's got 2 Vikings out, but the Stalkers are going to make quick work of those potentially here.
And Squirtle is just looking unstoppable, man. He's doing so good against these Terran players he's faced. There's the GG! Game number 1 going to StarTale Squirtle.
StarTale Squirtle taking out Slayers MMA in game 1 with that really brilliant Colossus push off of 2 bases. Such a basic strategy. It's been around forever. MMA, though, was not expecting it. Squirtle hit those Colossus until just the last second. And wow, MMA could not handle it. I think we're going to see a little bit more diligent scouting out of MMA in game 2.